Hello, everybody. Before we begin today's show, I have a quick question for you. Have you picked up your free ebook yet? No, it's not a joke. I've actually been talking about this for weeks about Dr. Sargent's new book, The Do It Messy Approach, the step-by-step guide for instructional designers and online learning developers. And this book is finally up and live. And right now, you can go to Amazon and actually pick up the Kindle version for free. It's an excellent book for those who want to have practical tips and advice about instructional design. And of course, the way that it's written with that type of a step-by-step formatting, it's extremely helpful and it's very easy to follow along with. And as I've said before too, this book, in my opinion, is for anybody. Whether you're a veteran, you've been doing this for years and you just want to hear another perspective from another instructional designer, or if you're a newbie and you are just learning about instructional design right now, you're trying to figure things out, certainly this book can help either party when it comes to instructional design. And kind of a surprise because I didn't tell too many people I was waiting for the book to actually come out, but I wrote the forward for the book. So if you've been enjoying my writings from my book or from my blog, that same nerdy rambling style still certainly applies. So be sure to check out the forward for the book, and of course, check out the book overall in its entirety by reading Amazon's #1 new release book for curriculum and lesson planning. You can go down into the show notes to find the hyperlink that will take you directly to that page on Amazon. So hey, be sure to pick up your copy today. And now, let's start the show. Hello, Learning Nerd Nation, and welcome on in to the nerdiest podcast you are going to hear today. My name is Dr. Luke Hobson. I'm a senior instructional designer and program manager over at MIT. I'm also the author of the book called What I Wish I Knew Before Becoming an Instructional Designer. And I create a lot of content on the internet all about instructional design with a podcast, a blog, and a YouTube channel. My passion is instructional design, and I love being able to help you along your instructional design journey. Wherever you are starting from, whether you are a newbie and you just heard about instructional design today, or you're a veteran and you've been doing this for years and years and you just want a different take or a new perspective about instructional design, all are welcomed into this podcast. And of course, you can find all of the information about this podcast and everything else I just talked about by heading on over to drlukehobson.com. So folks, this actually is concluding the series of the pros and the cons of instructional design. So far, I've taken you through, in my opinion, in my perspective, about the pros, the benefits, the advantages about becoming an instructional designer, talking to you about the cons, talking about, realistically speaking, those kind of negative aspects and things that just aren't so fun about the job. But then I want to be sure to cover, and today's episode will go much more into this detail, that kind of gray area, the middle area, the in-betweens, whatever you want to be able to call them. They're not pros, they're not cons, but you can make an argument about one side or the other. And when searching online about the kind of in-betweens section, I don't see enough conversation around them. So to me, I felt it was only fair to dedicate an entire podcast episode to just strictly talking about this kind of gray area. And just like with all of the past episodes too, if you want to actually go and see the YouTube video about this, that is going to be up and running by the time that this podcast episode is out. I did a little bit more of editing this time around. I actually had some time, so I tried to be able to throw in way more graphics and videos and animations and just some fun things to make the video a little bit more interesting. So, hey, give me some feedback. If you like that video style, please be sure to let me know as I attempt to figure out and experiment a lot with YouTube and see what people actually like. And the final thing that I'll say before diving on into this episode is a quick update for you. I know that many of you out there know about the course that we offer over with EduFlow Academy called Collaborating and Building Relationships with Subject Matter Experts. The course has been awesome. It's been so much fun nerding out with so many of you over a period of time. But one of the pieces of feedback that I have been hearing from some of you is that having a type of a blended course with both synchronous and asynchronous components doesn't always work for folks. And there are many people out there who just want an asynchronous version so you can take it whenever you want. Of course, I'll still be giving you feedback along the way, but it will just be up and live and good to go for whenever you actually want to be able to take the course. And we are working on that right now. I hope to have that launched sometime very soon. As soon as it is up and running, I will be sure to let you know everywhere on LinkedIn, on the LinkedIn group, on the Facebook group, and of course, email and everything else. But hey, that is coming. And especially for those of you who want to see about what my courses actually look like, which has also been a request is to see more behind the scenes about like what actually do you do within your courses? How do you really make them all come together? Of course, that is going to be an example for you that potentially you can learn from and model off of, not just when it comes to working with subject matter experts, but of course, when it comes to the fundamentals of instructional design and seeing a bit more about how I personally design my own courses. But hey, folks, that is all I have for you so far. I am going to stop talking and we can go on into the episode. So here is the episode talking about the in-betweens of instructional design. And now I want to talk with you about the not talked about as much area, the middle ground. It's not a pro, it's not a con, but depending upon your perspective, you might make an argument that what I'm about to say is indeed a pro, or perhaps you actually think about it in a more negative light. So what is this area I'm referring to? I am going to call this the "that's not in my job description." What I mean by this is that I have known many instructional designers who have gone through the same type of thing, in that instructional designers are almost expected to go above and beyond the normal expectations. So, what does this mean? You aren't getting paid to do more, so there's that con for sure. But on the flip side, it's a pro because perhaps you are building up a new skill. Perhaps you are finding a new path and you're carving that out. And you're making your point or your case that you should be promoted in the future. And you were going to use this as that key milestone in order to make that happen. For those of you out there who are currently instructional designers and watching this video, this might sound very familiar because of the fact that if you're trying to go from an entry-level instructional designer to a senior-level instructional designer, there is this essence of you need to prove yourself. Now, if you hit your 90-day review, if you hit your full 6-month, your year review, whatever it is, the expectation is that you're going to do well. However, when you can bring to the table that not only did I meet all of my goals and my outcomes and everything that you asked me to do, but also I did this and this and this. And in turn, maybe that is your ticket as far as for actually getting a raise, getting a new title, or whatever it is that you are seeking. And this certainly happened to me in my career, is that as I started to do more and more and more opportunities came about, and there was more of a case for me to receive a promotion. Does not matter what organization I'm referring to in the past, this was always something that I kept on trying to use for my benefit. So of course, it takes up more time, but it did help me as far as for with my longevity and with my career. So let me give you a couple of different examples. For some people, this means identifying a better way to do a process. Perhaps they have seen something done a million times and they're like, I know this can be better if we implement this new idea, if we revise this, or perhaps we change something, we go into a different type of direction. Or perhaps there is just a glaring area that needs improvement and you're like, we need to solve that problem immediately. I'm going to be the person to take the reins, and I'm going to be the one who is going to make that happen. And sometimes it's just within like the academia world. Maybe it's perhaps doing more as far as for with writing research papers, getting published, doing the type of circuit for traveling when it comes to conferences and doing presentations and all of this and that. And that is certainly another option as well. For me, interestingly enough, it was actually public speaking is what I would consider the whole "that's not in my job description." Now, you can probably guess that I love public speaking, hence why I am doing it right now in my own way with YouTube, but also I am constantly doing different forms of speeches. I am constantly doing presentations. I really do enjoy it. I absolutely love it. Now, the con, though, of course, is that it takes time. I don't wing anything. I practice everything beforehand. Right now, what I am currently saying to you, these words I have practiced before recording the camera. I don't use a transcript, but I practice it. I write out notes and I try to do my best from being able to deliver what I am hearing inside of my head, what I'm hearing inside of the rehearsals, and I'm trying to give you that 100% level of effort. So public speaking started to intertwine into my career when we started to do more types of webinars, trainings, workshops, things of that nature, and there needed to be essentially like an MC, a presenter. They had to be somebody who was going to be the host of the session, and then came the professor or the subject matter expert or whoever was actually giving the thing. And I still remember this clear as day, is that the very first time that I volunteered, because I heard about this from a marketing effort, is that we were going to start be doing webinars. And I said, sure, I would love to work with Professor so-and-so. This would be great. Why not? And we started to record. Now, this professor really didn't know me that well. And we've had a working relationship. We've done a few things together, but he didn't really know like me as a person, as far as for being loud and eccentric and really trying to actually come alive to make people pay attention, which is like a shocking turn of development inside of higher education. But that's a different story. But the point is that as this started to begin and we hit the 3, 2, 1 countdown, immediately I started to act on this type of webinar, like with what I'm doing right now. I was trying to be personable. I was trying to show passion and energy and make people interested in what we were talking about. Everything went well, and then as soon as we were done, the lights were off, the camera was off, he was looking at me and he was like, "What was that?" Like, well, that's actually who I am. He's like, "You have like this weird, quirky game show host kind of thing about you. We need to do that more." I was like, "Oh, okay, cool. I'm glad you liked it." And sure enough, he goes into the hallway, he finds my boss, and he was just like, "Did you know that Luke does this thing?" And she's like, "No, not really. I think it's the first time he's ever done this." And he's like, "Okay, well, in the future, he's on more of these projects." And all of a sudden, I started to get this reputation of, "Oh, cool, you like public speaking. Can you do the XYZ?" And this started to become a normal part of my day. And eventually, this actually became a part of me presenting to potential learners, to potential students, presenting to potential organizations who were interested in the courses, the programs, the trainings, the whatever it was. I was usually the demo guy. I was the person walking people through things, talking about the benefits and the advantages, and just trying to really show that learning can be fun. Shocking turn of development. Like, yeah, learning actually can be fun if we do it in the right way. But anyway, so the point is that I started to do this a lot more, and before I knew it, my schedule was getting filled with requests to do talks, and this was a part of my normal 9 to 5. I was not prepared for this. I was not ready for this. It just started to happen where more and more was like, "Oh, Luke, can you come do the thing? Can you come speak to whoever? Can you join the da-da-da?" I was like, "Yeah, of course." But eventually, after a while, I was like, "Okay, so listen, I'm drowning in work. Like, I can't keep doing this unless something else comes off my plate." And it was, "Oh, yeah, totally. We hear you. Keep on going. And eventually we'll try to find a different process and we'll figure out a different way." So I was like, "Okay, I'll keep on doing this and seeing what happens." And then one day I found myself scheduled to do a webinar with another professor and doing the same type of thing that I told you about before. And before we started this, we had about a couple of days notice trying to go through things as far as for with a dry run and have a scheduled call. And then this person said, "Actually, I can't do this. Something popped up. I'm traveling. There's no way I can do this." And I was like, "Oh, okay." I'm like, "Well, let's think about our plan B here. Let's reach out to our person who we know can also do this as like a backup role and they can jump right in." Reach out to plan B. And they said, "Oh, no, sorry, I'm sick. I'm not feeling well. There's no way I can do this." And then became a quick kind of huddle after the end of that conversation of, "So, hey, who's doing the webinar about this new course? We need to find someone to talk about it." Look around the room. And I'm like, no, I'm the most qualified person, aren't I? Okay, so hey, I am not the teacher for this course, but I was the instructional designer on the course. I know it really well. I know it like the back of my hand. I can absolutely present on this material. I just need to practice, and hey, here we go. We'll be okay. Then all of a sudden, a couple of days later, I was scrolling on Facebook and I received a targeted advertisement with my face on it. I'm like, what? What is that? And sure enough, it's like, oh, there's the webinar date. Oh, there's the title. Oh, there's me. Okay, the pressure's on. Ended up doing a presentation for 200 people on this new program that we were kicking off. And the thing is that it was a blast. I practiced enough. I knew the material. It actually went into a part of one of my degrees as well, pertaining to leadership. So I did feel qualified as well to talk more about this. So it wasn't just like completely out of left field. And it was awesome. And I actually volunteered to do it more if these folks needed me to do more marketing efforts in the future. But once again, nothing came off my plate. And it was okay. I need to try to wake up earlier to do this. I need to stay up later to do this. Now, over time, my public speaking skills have 100% developed more. I have done far more above and beyond when it comes to speaking than I ever thought I was going to be doing in my entire life. So for that, I'm thankful. It's a great skill to have, especially when it comes to nerding out and talking about learning. You really need to, try to make people feel involved with the presentation and really give 10 out of 10 when it comes to energy. So that 100% helped me, especially when it comes to doing different types of presentations about instructional design. It all goes hand in hand. But once again, the massive con was that I was working more than ever. I was practicing. I was doing all of these things that I wasn't getting paid extra. Maybe it was going to be going away from my job in the future. Maybe if we develop a better process, but it was a normal part of what it was that I was actually going to do. However, I do think that this helped me in my effort from going from an ID to a senior ID over time. And so, with that being said, that was a very long way of telling you about the in-betweens. If you talk to other instructional designers, they will say the same type of thing. Not public speaking. That's kind of a weird rarity that I found myself in. However, I know many people who took on additional projects and roles, and they would pitch out a new idea, and they would look around a room and realize they were the most qualified person to do it. So therefore, they got stuck with it and had to see it through. But once again, it was cool to be able to see an idea in your head and then see it all the way become a reality at the end of the entire project. And then all of a sudden you found yourself just basically making more job security for yourself because you have been showing your value to the team as far as to what you can bring to the table, and perhaps showing your innovation, your ingenuity, your creativity, which is a humongous part of instructional design at the end of the day. But hey, folks, I hope you enjoyed this series of the pros and the cons and the in-between. This is something different. I have not done a series before. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please go into the comment section and tell me, because everything that I do is based around feedback from viewers like you, and I do my best to adapt to find the content that is going to help you. And that is also how I reach out to podcast guests, because I am always curious on your feedback. And if I do not have the expertise to talk about something, I bring on a friend of mine or a colleague who does know a thing or two about a thing or two. And that is how I develop everything as far as for with my content on the internet. From everything that you have heard over the last 3 videos, also go down to the comments and tell me what surprised you. Was there a pro that surprised you, or a con, or perhaps this video where you're like, wow, I had no idea that this was a thing that is expected of me. Hypothetically speaking, all depends upon the organization, but a very common thing for instructional designers. But hey, folks, that is all I have for you. Thank you so much for watching all of these videos. And of course, stay nerdy out there, and I'll talk to you next time.